was on campus, we have changed much in that time. We're now a four-year institution. We offer 15 baccalaureate degrees. We have a large array of majors. Our physical campus, especially in land, has grown exponentially. In the fall, in September, we'll begin construction of our new academic building. Students and faculty have completed 3 hiking trails this summer on the mountain right behind us. Our student body has more than quadrupled since basketball was last here. Our entrance requirements have increased. Our extended campus in LJ is vibrant. We've added student housing and expanded our student support services. And importantly, we maintain one of the most affordable four-year college educations in the entire country. So this next step that we're starting today is very important for Dalton State's future. This will take us to the next level. Again, thank you for being here with us. And it's a pleasure for me to introduce our athletic director, who is a big asset for Dalton State. I'm really working hard with him on trying to help him become a little less introverted and a little more outgoing. So I would like you to judge how my training is going. So, Derek Watt.
The first thing I'd like to do is give some thank yous. First to the press for being here. We really appreciate your attendance, especially Calvin Means, who's video streaming for us today. I also want to thank George Poole and Jill Campbell for all their help in preparing for this press conference. I want to thank the candidates that we had for the head men's basketball coaching position here. Having been in Division I college basketball for 15 years and seen a lot of coaching searches, I can tell you that the group of candidates we had that wanted to be at Dalton State was as good, if not better, than most of the searches I've seen. And I think that says a heck of a lot about this institution and where we were headed. I also want to thank our head coaches committee. I also had many of those coaches who had been on many interviews tell me that this is one of the most professional committees they've ever dealt with, that had some of the best questions they've ever had in their interviews, and they put a lot of time into this, and I'm very appreciative of that. I want to give them just a quick mention. Jonathan Johnson, Jamie Hall, Dick Henninger, Cheryl Knuckles, Nick Henry, and Richard Skeel. I would also like to thank the students who participated in our interviews on campus. Finally, I want to give a special thank you to 4 men who, if not for their hard work, their effort, and their vision, we would not be here today. And I'd actually like for them all to stand, or if they couldn't find a seat, just continue to stand. The first is Coach Melvin Ottinger. Coach Ottinger's leading of the Roadrunner program in the 60s and 70s set the tone for what you see before you here today. I've said it before and I'll say it again. In going around this town, I have never seen a junior college program generate the excitement that the Dalton State Roadrunners did in this town. The next person I want to recognize is Dick Coleman. Assistant coaches don't always get the credit that the head coaches do, and Dick, I'm very well aware of that. So Dick was also instrumental in all of the great things that the Roadrunners did back in their heyday. The next person I want to recognize is Dr. John Schwinn. Without his vision and pushing for the reintroduction of athletics at Dalton State, none of this would be possible. And finally, I want to thank Garrett Bergner. Garrett? Garrett was a huge help during the interview process, but he also has essentially run athletics on this campus in the meantime while we were getting intercollegiate athletics back. It's easy to be overlooked as we do press conferences and all the glitz and glamour of this, but Garrett really paved the way athletically for my transition to be extremely smooth and for the Roadrunners to come back. So to all you 4, without you, we would not be here, and I thank you very much. You know, I vividly remember my first encounter with the Ingle family. I was coaching at Stetson, and we had a pretty good team that year. We were coming off a win at Georgia. We were one of the pre-conference favorites, and little Kennesaw State was coming into our gym to play us. Now, Kennesaw State was a first-year Division I program, so we didn't worry about them too much. Well, actually, my first experience with the Ingles was Golden Ingle, and Golden, I know, is here today. I'm looking out on that court, and Golden's running up and down, and he's leading the fast break, and he's pulling up right after half court, and he's shooting shots deeper than we've ever seen him. He's making them, and he's getting his team all riled up. But the other thing I noticed about Golden is that if you even touched him on the fast break, he would fly like he was shot out of a gun. He could flop with the best of them. If he took a charge, he wasn't just getting hit. He was hurling himself back into the goalpost to make sure the ref saw it. And if you even breathed or looked at him the wrong way on a jump shot, he would fling himself into the stands like it was the worst foul you'd ever seen. So I turned to my assistant and I said, "This Ingle kid, where does he get these histrionics from?" I then looked down to the other bench, and I see the coach of the other team sweating through his shirt, getting in a defensive stance, running up and down the sidelines, and I think I even saw him dance at one point. I then knew that Golden got all of his histrionics from the paternal side of his family. Kennesaw went on to beat us that day and actually was ranked in the mid-major top 25, which is unheard of for a first-year Division I program. Coach Ingle's an animated coach. He's fun to watch. His teams are fun to watch, but I want to go a little bit deeper. As we started this search, he and I are friends, and I was also friends with a lot of the other coaches that applied for it. He never once, when he expressed his interest, tried to play the friendship card or the alumni card in this search. In fact, I'm going to quote verbatim what he told me the first time that I talked to him about the job. "I hope you find the best coach for Dalton State. If it is me, great. If not, I still want to see the program be a great success, and I know you will make a great decision for the program." Next, even though Coach Ingle is from Dalton and knows a lot of people in Dalton, and I have gotten to know Dalton, I did not have one phone call or one official letter sent to me on his behalf from the people of Dalton. And I know that was not by accident. I know that he wanted this decision to be the solid decision and the right decision for Dalton State without any bias. I think those two things say a lot about him as a person and as a coach. There are a lot of things that are attractive about Coach Ingle as you're starting your men's basketball program. First, he is the only coach in the history of Georgia basketball to win an NCAA championship. Next, he has been to 8 NCAA tournaments. Next, he has recommendations from basketball legends such as Hubie Brown, Bobby Crimmins, Billy Donovan, Tubby Smith, Mark Sloniker, and even John Wooden. He also had glowing recommendations from President Emeritus Betty Siegel of Kennesaw and his athletic director, Dr. Dave Waples. He is the only coach in the state of Georgia to be named Naismith Coach of the Year at the high school, junior college, and four-year college level. He recruited teams at Brigham Young University that were not only setting records for wins, but setting records for academic achievement. He is the only coach, now the only coach in the history of the game of basketball to be a high school, junior college, NCAA Division II, NCAA Division I, and now NAIA level head coach in the same state. That is impressive, and he is the only one, and he has had success at every level, and I have no doubt that he will here. Not only did Coach Ingle play here, but Tony Ingle was the vice president of the student body at Dalton Junior College, which I think even probably says more than his playing and coaching career. He burns to win, and he will win, but he will do it with an outstanding group of young men that represent our program in a first-class manner on the court, in the classroom, and in the community. While he was at Kennesaw, he had 55 selections for the academic all-conference team. These things are all impressive, and any startup program would give their left arm to have Tony Ingle be their coach. But there are two main reasons why we are making the decision today to have him lead the Roadrunner program. The first, in doing my due diligence, I read Tony Ingle's book. And believe me, I hate to admit this at an academic institution, but I'm not a big reader. If you read Coach Ingle's book and see from whence he came, what he has overcome, what he has done with his life, and the absolute love that he has for his family, his wife, the players that have played for him, the city of Dalton, the county of Whitfield, and everyone that's been involved with him, it is impossible not to want him to be a part of your organization. By the way, if your book sales spike, I want to cut. The second reason can be summed up with one simple word, and that word is passion. I asked each coaching candidate one question that I thought was the most important. I said, why do you want this job? Now, before they answered, I said, now take out the newness of it and the fact that you can put your own imprint on the program. Take out the fact that Dalton's a nice place to live and Atlanta's a good place to recruit. Why do you want this job? And one man gave me the best answer, and it was Tony Ingle. The absolute love that he has for this community, for this school, for this county, for this area, and the absolute passion that he showed in answering that question then made my decision get a lot easier. This man loves this place, and he will put all of the blood, sweat, and tears he can to not only make sure that our basketball program is successful on the court, but that it helps in every way, shape, and form lift this entire community. I know the college basketball world. It's rare when you can find a coach that even likes his school that much. It's a game based on just making the next move and just getting to where you can get. If you can find a coach as good as Tony Ingle with the passion that Tony Ingle has for this place, you got to grab him and hold on to him as tight as you can. It is my utmost pleasure and honor to introduce our next head men's basketball coach at Dalton State, Coach Tony Ingle.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I've got a few high school teachers who wouldn't believe what you just said. But no, thank you. It's incredible. Incredible. Thank you very much. I'm humbled. If I can get through this without crying, I did good. So I'm really working on not doing that. I don't want to cry. If I do, just bear with me. I don't have notes. I don't use notes. They just confuse me. I'm not confused in the fact that I love and admire and appreciate a great leader, a great man. And I do my research too. And I want to thank the president of Dalton State College, Dr. Swin, for making a bold move. In difficult times, economy's tough, people are struggling all over the country. And he says, we need to bring athletics back. I applaud and I have prayed and thanked him You don't even know it. Because I know what this institution has done for me and what, in a small way, I've been able to do for others. I'm not what I should be, nor what I could be, but I thank God I'm not what I used to be. And I know what it's like to grow up in the housing projects. We didn't know we was poor. We just, everyone who bought groceries, that's whose house we went to. I still think my sister, one time she got out of bed and her little foot hit that cold concrete floor and she screamed so loud they took a break over at the carpet mill. But I want to thank you sincerely. There are going to be a lot of lives blessed, not just basketball, a lot of other sports, a lot of people, supporters, students. It's a great thing for Dalton. Obviously, I want to say how grateful I am to work with Derek Wall. Derek don't know this, but I build up a hate for other coaches. I don't like them. The only reason I shake hands at games is because the crowd's there and I got to be a good sport. I don't like somebody that likes to beat me. I don't know why. I just don't like it. Never have, never will. So I don't want to like Derek. But as I was around him and as I competed with him and saw a class guy, I saw a great leader. And really, not only admiring him as a coach, but when he was a chairman of our league, all the head basketball coaches, and we're in the NCAA and this national, the Final Four, and here he is standing up at the podium and he's running this meeting with all these coaches and all these egos and everybody don't like him like me, and after I got finished, I loved him. After he got finished with that meeting, I loved him. What I saw was a leader. I saw a guy with vision. I saw a guy that cared for everyone. And I saw, he was real good. He uses, 50-cent words. I wished I had a dictionary sometimes because he's got a good vocabulary. And I started analyzing and watching him. And I even told him, I don't know if you remember this, but after the meeting, I came out and said, "You're impressive." Because he cared for all the programs, not only just his program. And I'm excited about basketball here. I'm excited. But I'm also excited when he rolls out some of the other sports, including females. And I sit here and think for 30-something years, Coach Arner did a great job, and that was what it was, and my life been blessed because of Coach. But then for 30 years, and I don't know how many different presidents they had. I don't know all this stuff. But I do know this, that there's been a lot of little Tony Ingles that didn't get opportunities, whether it be male or female in Dalton, Georgia, because Dalton State College did not have athletics. That's what I do know. And I also know that Derek, well, like Sis Brown, he's a handsome man, isn't he? He's a handsome man, Sis. And when Sis told me that, I said, well, I'm going to start watching. I'll find something else bad about him. Well, I couldn't. I couldn't find anything bad. We go out to eat down at the Oakwood, and he orders a salad. He actually ordered, get me people order a salad. He come on, get some gravy. And then I'm talking to him the other day, true story, great guy, and he says, yeah, I'm walking up Mount Sinai. Mount Sinai. He said, I'm walking up Mount Sinai. I said, oh, wow, did your car break down? He said, no. I said, oh, you run out of gas. I'll be right there. He said, no. I said, why are you walking up Mount Sinai? And he goes, well, I'm getting a little exercise and little daddy and daughter time. And I thought, wow, man, this guy's good. And then, as I'm talking to him one night, if you want to know when I found out I had a job, was Wednesday morning. So if anybody feel like they got cheated, I'm I mean, I was sweating like I really wanted a job, but I didn't want to put pressure on him. And the reason people didn't call is we're support. They cut our phone bill off, We ain't been able to afford the phone calls. But he was nice enough to say, as we was talking and about basketball and, working together, and he's more than willing to help with some phone calls and recruiting in basketball. It'd be crazy not to tap into his resources and so forth and personality. And as we were talking about that, he said, Coach, that'd be a pretty good thing. He said, just think about it. He said, we'll be the only coaching staff in Georgia that has beat the University of Georgia, that has beat Georgia Southern, and he says, it beat Savannah State and beat Mercer. And he started running off all these teams. And then he said, and finally included me. He finally said, and Georgia Tech. And he finally included me, but he said us, like we did it. And I thought, well, I didn't beat Georgia. We didn't beat Savannah State. We didn't beat all these people. And then finally he said, we beat Georgia Tech. And I'm thinking, yeah, because I had 3 officials from Chatsworth. Yeah, one of them looked like Jackie Pogue. One of them looked like Jackie. But I thank you, Coach, for including me in all that success that we had. But a great man, and I am so honored to work with him. I even called him boss one day on the phone, and he said, hey, don't call me boss. We're in this together, and I love that. The other thing, just a little bit, I want to mention about me, and I want to get through this. This is to be the tough part. I wouldn't be here to accomplish some of the things I've accomplished. But it's been said, and I don't know who said it, but man, they were really smart. Only the innocent or the ignorant think that they're successful just by themselves. It takes others. And I owe so much to Brady Krill. Incredible man. Think about him every day. Gave me so much advice and confidence when I didn't have it myself. I never will forget, Coach. I've never told you this publicly, but I've shared it with other people all over the country as I go speak. Brady Krill called me in the night before we were supposed to play Murray County High School. And they had a great team that had already won a couple championships. And I never will forget it. He called me in. He said, Tony, I've been watching you and said some nice things. And boy, I just, all eyes and ears, whatever, and he says, and Tony, I just want you to know, I'm going to start you on the basketball team tomorrow to play against Murray County High School. Now, they were good. All y'all remember Doug Cruz and Pogue and Jones. These guys had hair on their legs. They had hair under their arms. They were grown men. And now he got me, wanted me to, and I'll never forget it because he said, Tony, I want you to be my starting guard. And I remember looking at Coach, and I thought, man, he is smart. And I said, I've never, ever wanted to kiss a man until that day. And I remember looking at him, and then I said, no, it ain't in my nature. But I ran home. I ran home. Told all my sisters I was starting and everybody, all that stuff. And, Coach, I love you and thank you. You know my feelings. I think every coach, people don't know it. I always write my coaches. And you say, well, Tony, what's a coach? That's all I've ever wanted to be is a coach. That's all I've ever wanted to be is a coach. And coach is a word coming out of Denmark in the early 1600s where they built a wooden box and would help women and children through rough terrain. And if you think about a coach, you ride down the side of the road, you see buses, it says a coach. You watch old Western movies, it has a stage coach. You're sitting in, if you're flying, you're sitting in first class or you're sitting in coach. A coach is a carrier. A coach is someone that finds the good in you when you don't see the good in yourself. That's all I've wanted to do is help others find the good in them. And I've always said with me as the coach and with them and God will get the best out of them. And I always felt like that. You know, now my daddy felt like, you know, he'd get the best out of you with him and his belt. And that worked too. So I don't want to mislead anybody. First college basketball game I ever saw was Dalton Junior College. Where am I going to go see a college game? I'm riding bicycles and everybody else got cars. Where am I going to go see a game? First time we come, Coach, we couldn't even get in. We couldn't get in. And then the next time I came, Coach Coleman, Coach Andre recruited me, and y'all brought me out at halftime on that little red carpet, you know. And I was the only one that asked you, could I take you home with me, remember? But that's the only game, first game I ever saw as I was introduced to halftime at Dalton State College. Wow. I get to play with Coach O. I might get to play at Dalton Junior College. I get a scholarship. Man, I thought I was somebody. And I'm not saying that because you're on a team, you're somebody. My mother never wore a jersey. But she's the greatest champion I know. She never wore a uniform. So I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying for Tony Ingle, I felt like I was somebody. And I needed that. And winning all those championships, and everyone, anybody knows basketball and see me play, you know, I wasn't a very good basketball player. But I don't think anybody played harder. I don't. If I knew anybody played harder, I took them out back and would fight them. And Coach knows, because I got fight 2 or 3 times in practice. And I didn't care how big he was. And I already had scars on my face. I didn't mind hurting yours. You know? So I really didn't care. Now, I'm not saying I won the fights. I just said I wasn't afraid of doing it. But it opened up my world. It opened up a vision. It gave me opportunities. The first question that they asked me, and I want to thank the committee too, by the way, for you know, helping in this hiring process. But the first question they asked me, they said, "Why do you think you're a good fit for Dalton State College?" And my answer was something like this: just because I'm from Dalton does not make me the fit. I want you to get the best coach. But I do think I have an advantage in that I left a ligament on the Hutchinson, Kansas court. Then they took everything. I didn't get to play. Then I have to go home. I have to look out the window and see my daddy cry, see my mother cry, and my wife, who was my girlfriend back then, cry. And I felt like I let everybody down. The worst feeling that I know of is to feel like that you have let someone down that you love and you really care. See, if you don't care, you can't get hurt. And Mother Teresa said, it's okay to get hurt because we always got to keep caring. As a matter of fact, the last time I cried that much is my cousin Gary burnt the fudge. You know, it was a traumatic experience for me because we didn't have that much fudge. But it started a dream. It started a dream in a young boy. And every time, my knee lets me know every day that I went to Dalton State College. It lets me know, and I think about it. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever think I'd be coach at Dalton State. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that when Roadrunners hit the floor next year, that Tony Ingle will be the coach of the Roadrunners, having to step in behind a legend and a great man, great guy, Coach Ottinger, Coach Coleman. I asked Coach Coleman one time, I said, Coach, he coached the second unit. I was on second unit. I said, Coach, can I shoot the ball more? He said, yeah, but keep passing it to Cleo for the next 2 months. You know? So, and the way he said it, I said, okay. He made me feel good about it. Okay, good. He's going to let me shoot. But I didn't realize it was in April and the season's over. The season's gone, Jack. And I also told him, I don't know about the other candidates, but I'm the only guy that you got that's worked on a garbage truck in Dalton, Georgia. I worked on a garbage truck for 2 weeks. I worked on, you know, in world carpet. I still got the scars on them krill racks. But I do love Dalton, and everywhere I've ever been, I talk about Dalton, Georgia. Everywhere I go on my bio, Dalton, Georgia. You cannot talk about Tony Ingle, that's Dalton, Georgia. I get calls from total strangers. Ran to a guy from Dalton, Georgia. I mean, I get calls from people that met total strangers and talk about Dalton, and then people meet in mutual things. Dalton is well known, is what I'm trying to say, throughout the country. And I know a lot of y'all are here today because, you know, now I got a job, I'm going to get paid, and y'all think you're going to get your money that I owe you. But just get in line down, you know, draw your little number. But I do want to say in closing that this is not about me, obviously. I'm honored. I know this. You weren't going to hire a guy that'd been more honored to be in Dalton and to be in Dalton State College. I knew that. I just didn't know if I thought I'd be the best guy, but I wanted them to find who they wanted. Because a wise man, Derek Waugh, is where I learned this. He said, it's not where you at, it's who you with. And that is so true. That is so true. And I'm glad I just looked out there and saw Day-Day Penn. I'm glad I saw you. Because, see, Day-Day, my daddy told me this. And this, my daddy told me, he said, Tony, when you go to work, you don't ever let nobody outwork you. And I lived in fear of somebody outworking me. And when we do summer jobs and we go, you know, all these things, and I work with you, Thurston Construction Company, and you're the only guy that I know that ever came close to me, and I ain't giving you credit for beating me. But you worked. You worked. You got there early, and you worked while you were there, and then you worked after it was over. And I've always had total admiration for someone at work, and that's what my daddy always said. Now, just so you know, you're never going to find anyone that says that Tony Ingle's intelligent. If you find anyone that says Tony Ingle's intelligent, give them a saliva test. But you will not find one person that said Tony Ingle's lazy. You will not. You will not find someone that says Tony Ingle's not honest and have integrity. You will not find someone that says Tony Ingle doesn't care for the kids and for the universities and so forth. That will not happen. You can question my decisions, but you cannot question those three. And if you do, you better not do it in front of me. I take pride in that. And we are got a lot of work to do. And I'm just thinking right now with the whole athletic department and in our time with basketball is we need, and please forgive me, but I've got to just, don't fire me before you hire me, President. But I just got to share what's on my heart while we got you. I have drove by this place so many times in recruiting, don't even have time to pop in and say hello to a friend. I got to get back home. I got to get back. I got to practice. I got to speak. I don't know how many times I spoke in Chattanooga, but it's just back and forth. And please forgive me. And I'm not trying to offend anyone. I just want you to know that Dalton State College, we've got this interstate here where people are driving by constantly. This is just Tony Ingle's opinion. It doesn't mean I'm right. It just means I think I'm right. I wouldn't say it. But we are driving by one of the best things that we have in this county, okay? And I'm talking Dalton specifically, in our city. And I can tell you junior colleges that have better facilities, junior colleges, high schools have better facilities. This place has left and been dormant. And people are driving by here and see the curb appeal of Dalton, Georgia, and they don't really see the real Dalton, Georgia. And there'll be a day where they'll be flying by and there'll be lights on and games on and things happening and ball games and places packed, cheerleaders and band and dancers and, you know, all that stuff. And we need and I don't know all the deals here, but I just know that this is our school. And I have been involved in building programs, but I have never built a program at my alma mater. And please forgive me, I say mine, because that's the way I took it. And I know my wife has told me, she said, Tony, it's It's not, your money. It's not my money. It's our money. And Tony, it's not your kid. It's not my kid. It's our children. This is not my program. This is not your program. This is our program. And I am glad to be a part of the team. And I got to share this. The guy's driving down the road. I tested this joke out on Keith Whitworth a couple weeks ago, and he laughed, so that helped me. But guy's driving down the road, lose control of the car, hits in a ditch. Oh, he's running late, and he looks out there, and old farmer's out there, and he's got this big bugle. He gets out, he says, "Hey, man, will you help me pull will you help me pull my truck out of the ditch?" And farmer comes over there and says, "Yeah." He said, "Me and Bubba, I'll get Bubba, and we'll help you, and we'll pull that." So he straps that mule up, ties him, gets him all ready, all the straps and everything. And he said, "Yeah, old Bubba's a good one. Bubba's a good one." And he just kept talking about Bubba. And then finally he says, "Okay, Bubba." And, he goes, "Sam, are you ready, Sam?" And the guy that wrecked his truck said, "Sam, you just called him Bubba." "Ready, Sam? You ready, Frank? Ready, Jim?" He said, "You ready, Bubba? Pull, Bubba, pull." And that truck came out of that ditch like nothing flat. And that guy said, "Man, that's amazing." He said, "But I got to ask you a question. Why do you call all those other names? Why did you call all those other names? When you said his name, Bubba." He said, "Well, Bubba's blind, and I didn't want him to think he was doing all the work by himself." Okay? I am not here to do the work by myself. But I guarantee you, with your help and your support, to steal an old quote from the cable guy, we'll get her done. Thank you. And if you have any questions, I think whatever, I turn over to Derek. But thank you very much.
At this point, Dr. Schwinn apologizes. He had to take off. He had a funeral he needed to be at. But we'll entertain any questions for either Coach Ingle or myself from the media. If you could just raise your hand.
Well, the Lord decides that. The Lord got me here, and I put my trust and faith in Him. And every job I've ever had, I put my trust in Him. It says, "Trust in God and lean not on thy own understanding." And I think that God wanted me at Northwest High School when I was there. Now, some people that might sound a little strange, but in my opinion, that's the truth. I felt like I was supposed to be at Kennesaw State. And then I think that I left Kennesaw for a reason. I think the reason is to come to Dalton. And yes, I mean, I could very well be here the rest of my life and be perfectly happy with it. That'd be awesome. Great. But as far as energy level, I was still a line from Herschel Walker. After 51 carries in a football game one night, they asked him, they said, "Herschel, did you get tired?" And he said, "No, football's not heavy." Well, basketball's not heavy. And if you question, enthusiasm or whatever, I look at it this way. Enthusiasm has no age. I know people that's 10 years old, 11 years old, 12-year-old don't have the enthusiasm I got. I know people that's 25 and 30. Enthusiasm has no age, but wisdom does. And I think I have both. And I do want to say this, before I got the microphone, is I would totally be remiss if I didn't say this, is my family. Israel, will you hold your hand up when I introduce you? This is Israel Ingle. He's a head coach at Gordon Junior College. He went to Hudson, Kansas last year, and District 13 Coach of the Year. This is his lovely bride, Candace. And they've got our little granddaughter here, Isabel. This is Christy. Christy, hold your hand up now. That's little Christy. This is Golden, the one he was talking about earlier. My sister, Sheila. I'll get you that $20 later. And Keith is my brother-in-law and great guy. Everybody knows. And then this is my lovely bride, Jeannie, married for time and all eternity. I asked her the first time I saw her. Remember, I asked her, 25 years of marriage. I said, honey, when you first saw me, was it love at first sight? She said, no, it was a pitiful sight. But, of course, Lynn, great person, wonderful, and there's sis and there's Tony Jr. Tony, and that's my family, and I think that this is Sheila, my sister. Here's Inky, my sister, and Elliot. There's Elliot. Elliot, you mind coming in and take your shirt off and do a dance? Okay. So, but anyway, that's my family. I apologize I didn't say that earlier. But hey, answer your question. I got enthusiasm. I'm excited. I'm here to build a program. I'm here to build a program. I got goals and things I want to accomplish, and I'm hope I'm here a long time. I hope I'm here a long time. Yes.
Coach, you know this area. What are some of the obstacles you face starting off?
Well, I don't want to get specific on obstacles, but I appreciate the question. But here's the way I look at that, and here's why. See, if you have a dream, if the dream is big enough, the obstacles are small enough to overcome. I have overcome obstacles my whole life because I refuse to quit. I refuse to give up. I am a finisher. If I start it, I finish it. Now, I wished everything was, I tried for it to be the best I could. But it's amazing how I always look back and say, I could have done a little bit better. But even when I was there, I thought I was doing pretty good. But there are going to be obstacles, and just so you know, have you seen any 6'10" ball players around Dalton lately? Boy, sure would like to have some. Have you seen any 6'7" or 6'6"? I mean, you see, so there's not a lot of tall people running around. So we got to go somewhere to get some players that way. So, and I look at it pretty good this way. If you get good players, keep good players, coach good players, you're going to be good. If you get great players, keep great players, and coach great players, you're going to be great. And I want to be great, and I want us to be good. But I also have a heart for local talent here. I think you've maybe felt that or heard that earlier. Okay? But yeah, there's, I want guys that's used to winning state championships. You show me the teams winning state championships, they're going to get my attention. I want a guy that's used to winning. Okay? Now, I knew Tommy Thompson because his brother Earl, his daddy Earl was an All-American here. And I knew Earl was tough. Well, I knew Tommy was tough because it's in him. So evaluations is a big key. But you're going to run obstacles like that. Another obstacle I run up on is a lot of people in this town know me. Well, then they got a friend or a family member, and they want little Johnny to play for Coach Ingle. Well, little Johnny probably can't play dead in a John Wayne movie, But they want him to go play for Coach Ingle because, Coach Ingle, Coach Ingle. But, I've got to have players. We got to have players. So there's a balance there, and the obstacles are whatever you want them to be. And mine, I'm going to have some obstacles, obviously. But at the same time, we'll get through them. And we'll find the players. The players are out there. We'll be fine. I've already got people calling me, telling me about prayer. Coach has already got people calling him. Israel has got people calling him. Yes, sir.
Yes. No, what the plan is we wanted to definitely have a presence on campus. Bandy Gym, we're in the process of trying to redo that, start a volleyball program so that the students can walk right over to Bandy Center and watch a volleyball game. They would have to walk up a bigger hill to get to the trade center. With our finances, we started men's basketball this year, and then the plan is to start women's basketball next year because, as I've said a bunch of times, we do not want to roll out sports until we make sure that they're competitive and are well-funded and can represent the institution the way it should be represented. Anybody else have anything? All right, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming today. We really appreciate your attendance, and we look forward to seeing all of you when we kick off in 2013. Thanks.